Hi. Hope you all are doing well. Um, Take it easy, stepping out into the world, into this new environment where you can go more places. Be safe, stay healthy. And we're going to start with a little bit of a laugh. So, what I have noticed in filming is that the eye of the camera is very specific, and you can't necessarily see what else is going on around the eye of outside the eye of the camera. So I thought I'd show you my balcony at the moment is a little bit in disruption. My son did his laundry last night, and he has it drying all over the place, including hanging on the fan above the living room. Oh boy. So here we are back to something a little less cluttered, a little more soothing. All right. So someone mentioned my back wall where I have been hanging things that don't always hang in this spot, but that people have given me and sometimes made for me. This is one that um, is of the Episcopalian Church, and Linda Walmsley made this one. It's so beautiful, and it's the window that was behind where I stood in the Episcopal Church when we practiced there on Wednesday nights. All right, so let's settle in. I'm going to settle in with Tadasana, and I'm going to stand anchored in 2 feet with my weight balanced over the balls of the feet and the heels. You might be lying down, in which case you might have your knees bent or not. I'm going to talk you through the standing meditation. The Buddha says you can do meditation in 4 postures. One is standing, one is seated, one is walking, and one is lying down. So Shavasana is our lying down meditation in yoga, and Tadasana is our standing meditation in yoga. All right, we're in standing meditation, and I'm talking you through Tadasana. And you start with the feet and anchoring the inside edge. The feet are parallel. You can look down and see that they run like railroad tracks. Inside edge of the ball of the foot down, outside edge of the heel, outside edge of the ball of the foot, inside edge of the heel. Breathing. Notice that weight on the balls of the feet more, and then more on the heels, and find an evenness between the balls of the feet and the heel with the outside corners anchored. And then with your mind's eye, go down into the center of the pad of the heel and bend the knees just a little bit and find what's happening in the center of the pad of the heels, and take that center point down into the floor. And as you do, the legs strengthen and straighten, the abdomen draws in, the lower back draws in, and they hug in toward the spine. That's your transverse abdominis drawing the abdomen and the sides and the lower back all in at the same time toward the spine. And you take your shoulders up toward the ears and turn the palms out and take the shoulder blades down the back and relax the arms. Take the throat back so the head is more centered over the spine. the breath in, and as you exhale, let it go with a sigh. Inhale. And as you exhale, let it go with a sigh. Maybe a third time. So we're aware of the outer environment, our connection to the earth, whether you're lying down, seated, or standing. And we're aware of how the connectedness to the earth is affecting the posture, how the breath is affecting the posture, how the posture affects the breath. And we're aware of the state of your mind, your attitude, your what thoughts you have, what emotions you have. And as you watch the internal environment, watch the breath, watch the thoughts and emotions, you notice that they might be related to one another, so that if the thoughts are disturbing, the breath might be disturbed. If the breath is calming, the thoughts might be calmed. And perhaps you notice what kinds of thoughts and emotions have been going on in the background because you've stopped for a moment and you're observing those processes. So you might notice that there are thoughts there that have been there, maybe all morning, all day, maybe for days at a time, or that the thoughts and emotions that pop up every once in a while. I woke up today really concerned about the reopening, and I had lots of worries and negative thoughts going on. And perhaps that goes on off and on throughout this whole experience, but today it was kind of grabbing me and pulling me down. It helped to talk to Johnson. And it helps to be here and just noticing that as you watch your thoughts and as you watch your emotions, they sort of kind of melt into the background a little bit more. They may come up again, that's okay. But as you watch them, the Yoga Sutras said they hide like the shadows of the night. But aha, they will come back. Maybe not these thoughts, maybe different thoughts, but thoughts come back. So we're just paying attention to them without criticizing them, without analyzing them. And maybe there's nothing there. That's fine. You don't have to make something be there. You don't have to put something there to look at. Just notice nothing. And when we come back at the end and relax, you'll also notice what has changed. So now, whether you're lying down or seated or standing up, we'll come to a standing position. And we are working today on poses that are good for osteoporosis, that are bone strengthening poses. So beginning Tadasana again, and we'll just stretch a little bit. Inhale and reach the arms up and bring them back down again, turning the palms up and sliding the shoulder blades down your back. Inhale, reach out and up, maybe touch the backs of the hands. Inhale, open up. As you exhale, bring the arms down, and as you bring them down, take the shoulder blades down the back, and then stepping the feet apart a little bit more, and inhaling the left arm over your head, over your ear, reach really far to the right. Inhale up. As you exhale, reach the right arm up and go to the left. Try and keep the left side as open as you can. Inhale up. And exhale the other side. Inhale up. And exhale the other side. Back up again. And as you exhale, turn and look behind you. Take that shoulder up and back. Inhale. And as you exhale, go to the other side. Take that shoulder up and back. Inhale. Exhale, turn a little further. And back to center. One more time to each side. Take a breath in, get really tall. As you exhale, turning to one side and rolling that shoulder up and back. So if you're turning to the left shoulder turns up and back. Exhale, breath in, exhale, inhale to center. As you exhale, get really tall and turn to the other side. Take that shoulder, so if you're turning to the right, roll the right shoulder up and back. Breath in. As you exhale, turn a little further. And inhale back to center. And breathe. And breath in. Look up. Exhale, look down. Inhale, look up. Exhale, look down. Inhale to center. Look toward the right. Bring your chin around as far as you can and keep it level with the floor. Leave the left shoulder back. Inhale. Exhale to the other side. Leave the right shoulder back. Look over the left shoulder. Leave the chin parallel to the floor. The ears parallel to the floor. Bottom of the ears even. And inhale back to center. Shake out. So we're going to start with tree pose, and we'll turn the right leg out and bring the right foot up into the inside of the calf or the inside of the thigh, and it's up to you how far up you go. You could have your knee at the wall or not, and then take a breath in and reach the arms. As you reach the arms, you can interlace the fingers and point the pointing fingers up, or you can use the arms as part of your balance and just work with the uh, arms to help you balance. Stepping down into that downward foot. As you do, you feel a stretch all the way from the left ribs all the way down into the left buttock, all the way down into the left leg, and the strengthening of the leg as you push into the floor. Take a breath in and release. As I'm talking you through one side, you're breathing. Start back in Tadasana and get centered again. And when you're ready, you're going to bring the left foot to the inside of the ankle or the calf or maybe the thigh. And remember that as you grow down into that right heel, you're also bringing the left thigh and the right foot closer together. Right heel, right? Yeah. This way. I'm having a little trouble on this side. Wants to slide down. There we go. Breathing and observing. You can reach your arms up and grow down into that right foot, down into the right heel in particular, reaching the arms and at the same time growing down into the heel. And release. Shake out and come back to Tadasana. So now we're going to go to triangle pose. Step the feet apart. Triangle was a symmetrical, Tadasana was a symmetrical pose in between these asymmetrical poses. So we step the feet apart at a comfortable distance, turn the right foot out, turn the left foot in, bring the right buttock in over the line between the 2 feet, which are lined up front foot to back arch. And we'll start with a bent front knee. And as you exhale, you're going to draw the buttocks to the left, the hips to the left, working that right knee towards straight by pushing into the floor and pushing into the hip. And we keep the side ribs long, both on the right side and the left side. So don't poke the left ribs up. Let them drop in softly toward the right ribs so the right ribs can open up. And if you'd like, you can turn the shoulder on the left, to the top shoulder, so that you can see it. You might have to roll it forward a little. And then draw that shoulder back while the head goes with it. So it's essentially a turning in the rib cage as you keep the right knee where it's pointing. Don't let it drop into the inner knee. And then reach the arm up if you'd like. Reaching up out of the hip joint a little bit. And then letting the arm soften into the shoulder socket. And breathing and observing the left hand. Watch how the pose changes with the breath. How the breath changes with the pose. Inhale and come up, reach with the top arm. Exhale and release. And turn the other way. Left foot turned out, right foot turned in. Line up the left foot with the right arch and bend the front knee a little bit. As you exhale, you're going to straighten the front leg or work towards straightness by pushing into the foot, Feel the heel push into the floor more than the ball of the foot. And by pushing into the hip, taking it toward the hips toward the right, tuck the sit bone in on the left, tuck the buttock in on the left, and keep the rib cage long. Deep breath in. As you exhale, fold in the hip joint, coming out over that left leg. Look at your shoulder, your right shoulder, and move the shoulder back and just keep the chin and the shoulder in their relationship with each other. They may not be quite lined up, that's okay. Just keep them moving together so that you're turning the rib cage and that the front knee, the left knee, still stays aligned with its toes. Breathing and dropping the right ribs into the left ribs. Reaching the arm up if you'd like. And as you reach that arm up, reach the fingers away from the hip and then soften the right shoulder. Soften the right arm into the shoulder socket. You don't have to pull it real hard in there, but just let it rest in there. Looking up, and as you exhale, you're observing how the edge is doing. The edge of this pose is as far as you can go, and you're watching as the breath affects the edge. And then bending the front knee and coming back again, and back to Tadasana. So we're going to do Utkatasana as a symmetrical pose. You bend your knees, you reach your arms. Maybe the arms can reach over your shoulders, maybe they're out in front, or maybe they stay on your hips. See how your lower back feels. The knees stay parallel, they're pointing toward the middle of the feet. Breathing. If you can look up between the hands, do that. And then coming out of that, push off with the feet, and the arms reach straight up, Urdhva Hastasana. And as you exhale, bring the arms down, relax the shoulder blades down, and release. Relax. So we're going to turn again to the right. Right foot turned out, left foot turned in, and we're a little bit farther apart now. And we're going into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. You've got the front foot lined up with the back arch again. And you're as far apart as you can be and still have your knee on the right over the ankle. And breathing. Make sure the right knee aligns with the middle of the foot. Tuck the sit bone in and then reach the arms. Palms up. Turn the thumbs back as far as you can. Let the shoulder blades drop in. And you're still going to have the shoulders, the arms softly moving into the shoulder socket, and at the same time reaching the fingers. As you breathe, there may be a little movement outward. Maybe you can put the palms down and still have the shoulder blades down. Keep moving the hips to the right. You're pointing to the right, the hips are moving to the right. Keep anchoring the left heel and breathing. Arms are level. Same height on the right arm as the left. And then coming back. to Tadasana. See how the right and left sides feel. You don't try to even them up necessarily, but just look at what's the balance between the right and the left leg. And then we turn the other way, stepping far apart and turning the left foot out and placing the left knee right over the left ankle. And breathing. Now the hips are going to move to the left and the shoulders stay over the hips. Inhale and reach out and turn the palms up. You can make a U if you want. You don't have to have the arms straight. And turn the thumbs back so that the shoulder blades are rolling down the back. Still work the elbows from the underside up, or the back of the elbow up. And keep anchored in that back foot as you move the hips to the left. You don't want your knee to be in front of the ankle, nor do you want it to be behind the ankle. The best support is when the knee is right over the ankle. Breathing and observing. Arms are softening into the shoulder sockets, and at the same time as you breathe, you open from the center of the chest out to the fingers. Looking over the left hand, you might turn the hands down and still be comfortable with the shoulder blades down. Anchor into the outside edge of the right foot. Breathing. On the next exhalation, come back to center. Back to Tadasana. So we're going to do Utkatasana one more time. This time we're going to do it taking the buttocks way back and trying to get the knees over the ankles with the knees bent. You might have your buttocks at the wall so that in case you feel like you're losing your balance, you have that wall there to balance. Inhale, reach out in front. And as you exhale, go back with the buttocks, back, 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 back. The knees are coming over the ankles or closing in on that position. Back, 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 folding in the hip joints as you reach the abdomen in, as you strengthen all around the waist. The abdomen moving toward the spine, the back moving into the spine. Deep breath. See if you can relax a little bit. Inhale, push off with your feet. Come back up. And exhale and release. So we're going to do one more standing pose. We're not going to do revolve triangle today. It's part of it. But we're going to do Parshva Konasana, side ankle stretch. And it starts like Virabhadrasana 2, like Warrior 2. You're far apart. You might need a block. If you want to put your hand down a little lower, maybe you can use a block, or maybe you can touch the floor. But you want to keep that alignment of the front foot and back arch, and the alignment of the front knee pointing toward the middle of the foot. And we're going to go into reverse Virabhadrasana 2. Reach the front arm up, the right arm up. Take the hips to the right. Dropping in that left hip. And as you exhale, bring the rib cage closer to the right thigh. You can put your hand on your elbow on the right thigh and use that arm, that lower arm, to pull back a little bit to keep the right hip turning out, the right knee aligning with its toes, pointing toward its toes. Breathing and observing. The back arm reaches up and over the ear, straight line from the left heel to the left fingers. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, draw that left arm a little farther back over the ear. And then inhale, and as you exhale, come back up and bring the feet together again. Tadasana. See the difference between the right and the left sides. Go to the other side. Left leg turned out, right leg turned in. Line up the left foot with the right arch. Hips are going to swing toward the left. Drop in that right hip. Reach up and over with the left arm. And as you exhale, bring the left ribs toward the left thigh. Left arm can be on the thigh, and you're drawing back just a little bit against the thigh to turn that hip out a little bit, to tuck the sit bone in a little bit, and then inhale up with the right arm. Up and over. Looking up at the right arm if you can. Anchor the outside edge of the right foot. Breathing and observing, hips still moving to the left. Maybe the arm comes back a little and the torso turns a little. As you exhale, bring that right arm down. Bring the feet to parallel. And you can bow if you want to, or just keep your head and heart parallel to the floor. You might have your knees bent, your forearms on the knees, on the thighs. Taking the sit bones up, working into the center pad of the heel. And then bending the knees, inhale and reach out and up. Exhale, Tadasana. Noticing the difference between the right and the left sides. All right, so we're going to come back onto the floor, and we're going to do a few floor poses. And I'm not doing the whole sequence, all 12 poses, but we're going to do a couple of back bends now, and then we're going to do some forward bending and twisting. All right, so lying down on your abdomen first. So begin by noticing how your back feels. You can just maybe make a pillow out of your hands and make a pillow out of your hands and feel how your back feels. You could rock your hips from side to side, or you could rock your feet with your knees bent from side to side. Now bring your hands behind and your forehead on the floor. It's a little hard for me to talk with my forehead on the floor, so I'm going to keep my chin on the floor so you can hear me better. Take a breath in. As you exhale, you're going to move the buttocks toward the heels. You could see what that feels like by putting your hands on the buttocks, moving the buttocks toward the heels. Bring the legs together. Inhale and roll the shoulders up and back and down. Arms up. Take a breath in. Coming up with the head, up with the shoulders. Strengthen the legs. Push the feet into the floor so that the legs at the knees and the shins come a little off the floor, but your feet are still on the floor. Maybe you come up a little on the inhalation, go down a little on the exhalation. And as you exhale, bring the arms down, bring the shoulders down, the head down, and rest with your head to one side. You might want to rock your hips or bend your knees and rock your feet. So we're going to go ahead to, instead of doing modified Cobra, Bhujangasana, we're going into Salabhasana, where the legs and the arms reach up. So breath in, put your forehead back on the floor, move the buttocks toward the heels, push into the tops of the feet so that the shins and the knees move away from the floor. Then take a breath in, roll the shoulders toward the ears and up. Reach the arms back and the legs come up. And we're breathing and observing and watching. Watching the breath. How does the breath affect the pose? How does the pose affect the breath? Arms and legs down, head down. Relax your head to the other side. Maybe you rest with your hips rocking back and forth, or with your knees bent and your feet rocking back and forth, or maybe you just rest. Breath comes back to a natural pace. It may have been a little bit labored from the back bends. So now we're going to turn over. And we're going to draw the shoulder blades down the back. Feet on the floor, feet behind the buttocks. And we're going to do bridge pose. So if you would like to use your strap, you could put your strap around your thighs. So you want the buckle to be in the front where it's not pressing against the thighs. You want the knees to be able to, legs to be able to press out into the tie, and the knees don't point out. Don't have the buckle, the strap right behind the knees, right in the knee joint, but back a little bit toward the middle thigh, but not quite to the middle thigh. All right, so we're going to start with pressing into the thighs, breathing. As you exhale, press into the thighs and feel the abdomen engage and the lower back engage. Feel the narrowing of the waist. And maybe this pressing goes into a pause in the breath. And then when you're ready to inhale, start inhaling and relax the push. And as you exhale, press into the thighs, lengthen the neck, narrow the waist. Let the abdomen drop in naturally. Maybe you push during the pause between the exhalation and inhalation. And when you're ready to inhale, inhale. Relax. There might be a little pause at the top of the inhalation, and then again, exhale and press. Now, as you're pressing with the exhalation, begin to lift the hips. Feet are underneath the knees. Keep drawing the sit bones toward the backs of the knees and press out into the strap. When your hands aren't doing you any good on your thighs, bring the arms down and walk the elbows in close to each other, and the outer shoulders go toward the floor, and you interlace your fingers perhaps, or you point your fingers toward the ceiling and press into the backs of the arms, either way. If you interlace your fingers, you do not want your elbows to come away from each other. You want them to stay walking in toward each other underneath the rib cage. Keep pressing into the floor and moving the sit bones towards the backs of the knees. Keeping the neck loose, but the chest is moving toward the chin. Feet are anchored. I forgot to tell you to use the block, but you can feel as if the inner balls of the feet are moving a little bit toward each other isometrically. Take a breath in. Reestablish that movement of the sit bones towards the backs of the knees. And then as you exhale, begin to relax the arms and begin to come down with that narrowing of the waist still happening, and with the floor of the pelvis moving up toward the middle of the body. Take a breath in. As you exhale, reestablish the strength and the length in the torso, in the abdomen, transverse abdominis, and begin to draw the floor of the pelvis up into the center body. relax when the buttocks is down and observe. If you have discomfort in your lower back as a result of doing the poses, again press into the thighs and let the abdomen and the lower back support the spine. As you relax a little bit, the abdomen drops in, the lower back just lifts a little away from the floor, but you are still pressing against the thighs. If you still feel discomfort in your lower back, then bring your knees toward your chest and rock the knees from side to side. Taking the strap away. Turning to one side, coming up, moving the strap away. So instead of doing Padangustasana, which is part of that osteoporosis routine, we're going to do Baddha Konasana. So that does work both sides of the hips at the same time, and it's a symmetrical pose, Baddha Konasana, and you're going to have the blanket underneath your buttocks and moving the legs apart in bound angle pose. No, this is not Baddha Konasana. Upavishta Konasana. That's what it is. Upavishta Konasana. You're in Upavishta Konasana. You're in Upavishta Konasana, and you've got a block in front of you. And it's just a point of reference. It's not a goal. It's just a point of reference. And you're going to take a breath in, move the skin of the buttocks away so the pubic bone faces a little bit more toward the floor. And as you exhale, see how far you can fold from the hip joint, not from folding the shoulders forward, but just the hip joints moving the whole torso forward, and see how close you come to that block. Now take a breath in, come back up again. Get tall. Take a breath in, getting tall, turning, reaching the right arm to the left thigh and turning the left shoulder up and back and around and looking over the left shoulder. Breathe into the right ribs, and as you exhale, the back of the right ribs spin around a little further. Anchor the right leg. Maybe you can turn a little more. And as you inhale, come back to center. Exhale, reach across with the left hand, behind with the right hand. As you exhale, turn toward the right, roll that right shoulder up and back, look over the right shoulder, reach into the left leg, and that will help you turn a little more. Inhale to center. Exhale, fold, and see if you feel like your chest might be a little closer or to the block. Take the backs of the legs into the floor. Inhale, back up again. Breath in. Get tall, reach across with the right hand, behind with the left, roll the left shoulder up and back, turn, anchor the right leg, and breathe. Watch the breath, spinning the rib cage around. As you inhale, come forward over the right leg, but don't lose the turn of the torso, not at this point yet. And then when you get as far as you can go without straightening the torso, then begin to straighten the torso so that you are facing the left leg and bring the abdomen toward the thigh. Breathing and observing. Now put the right hand on the right leg, left hand on the left leg, and begin to turn toward the center without coming up, and see how close you are to that block now. Inhale and come up. Exhale, get tall and turn. Bring the left hand to the right thigh, right hand behind. Inhale, look forward. And as you exhale, begin to turn toward the right. Roll the right shoulder up and back. Anchor the left leg, breathing. Breathe into the back of the left ribs, and as you exhale, empty the back of the left ribs into the front of the left ribs, and it turns the torso a little more. As you exhale the next time, keep the turn and come out over the right leg. And then bring both hands onto the right leg, and right shin, right thigh, wherever, and bring the abdomen closer to the right thigh. Folding in the hip joints, press into the back of the right leg, into the back of the thigh. And as you do that, it might give you a little more action of folding. It releases the hamstrings as you tighten the right thigh. And then back to center, and notice how close you are to the block now. Take a breath in, come back up again. As you exhale, bring your feet together. And as a symmetrical pose, we're going to do Baddha Konasana. But we're going to do the yin form, where your feet are far from the pubic bone. And we're going to use our arms against the thighs to support the torso. So if you are up really high, you might have your hands on the thighs. You might be able to put your elbows on the legs somewhere. You might be able to put your hands on the feet or not. And the feet stay together. The pubic bone moves toward the floor. You're still very open. You haven't rounded. You're just folding in the hip joints and watching the edge to see how the edge is changing with the breath. With any exhalation, you might find you can move into the stretch a little bit more and change where your edge is. You're not really going beyond the edge. Your body's accepting this stretch. And wherever you feel the tension, see if you can breathe into that area and feel that area relaxing a little bit more with the breath. If you cannot feel that relaxation, then maybe you went too far. We're working on yoga for osteoporosis. This is good for working into strength in the hip joints and the bones of the hip joints. We don't want to weaken the bones in the spine at the front of the spine. So don't round the back at this point. Just fold in the hip joints a little further, maybe. And then we are going to let the head drop and let the back feel that stretch, stretching the fascia a bit, that lining around the internal body. Allowing the breath to relax and soften. Breathing into the hip joints and letting them relax. Inhale and bring the head up. Walk the hands back. Stretch the legs out. Shake them a little bit. And then go into Shavasana. If you would like to put your legs up at the wall and rest with your legs up on the wall, you could do that. Otherwise, you're just resting back in Shavasana. You're on your back. You have your legs bent if your back feels it needs it. You're breathing and observing the breath. Turning the palms up, maybe bringing the thumb and the first finger to touch very lightly at the tip of the thumb, tip of the finger. Stretching your other 3 fingers out on each hand and letting the fingernails touch the floor if you can. It may feel stressful at first, and then you begin to relax your effort and you just allow this mudra to bring calm, to help the mind to get calm and quiet. The mind is all through the body. It's how we know what it feels like when we're moving into a pose and I say, observe this particular part of the body. Observe your hips as you're folding forward. See if you can relax in the hip joints. That kind of language is the mind is able to, it's using your inner mind, your inner eye. And there's a conscious part of that and an unconscious part of that, subconscious part of that. So there can be a lot going on in there. And we're relaxing and softening the mind. We're watching thoughts, watching inner tensions, and allowing them to relax and quiet. The breath is coming and going. We're aware of how things have changed in our life since we started the practice. In our body, in our mind, in our heart. I honor in you what I see in myself, a place of love and light and truth and peace. Knowing that when you are in that place in you and I am in that place in me, we recognize our oneness. And this is true whether we're in the same room or just in the same heart. Namaste.